Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So this video is just a follow-up from the last one where I'm just going to show you how to deploy a Pywebio app using Flask and Heroku. So Heroku is a platform as a service company which essentially manages the whole deployment for you, meaning you can get your app to the market by using them, if that makes sense. So you don't have to do all of that from scratch. So people like myself who are new to coding don't really know everything there is to know about stuff like Flask and just deploying stuff using code. Heroku is here to save the day. So this is the code for the Jamaican salary calculator that I showed in the last video. And if we run it, it's going to run on my local machine, which is known as localhost. The problem with this is the app itself will only work once I have this running on my laptop. So when you run the app and check out the address bar, you can see that there's no domain name, just an IP address that belongs to my local host. With Heroku, however, the app will have a domain name, for example, calculator.herokuapp.com, which means I don't actually have to have the app running on my machine for someone else to use it. So going back to Visual Studio Code, I'm just going to show the changes that you need to make to the code in order to get it up and running. So I'll just show you, I already have the final thing here, which the main thing you really need is Flask and argparse. So these were commented out in the previous code, they're all there. And you then need to create a variable called app, which you're going to assign Flask name. Finally, at the end, instead of all this nice code that we had before, which allowed the app to run on my local machine, we're going to comment that out and we're going to actually create a URL rule, and then some new fancy stuff down here. Honestly, I don't fully understand what these mean as yet, but I'm learning. But it's essentially using Flask that we're going to be able to deploy this. So you can just copy that, honestly. Okay, in addition to these changes in the code, there are some additional files that we need to insert. So one of the important ones is requirements. So the requirements file is just what do you need in order to run the app. And like I said before, it's just Flask and Pywebio. If you don't know, you can always just run a command in your terminal down here to get that. And the command you'd run is, let me show you, it's this cute thing right here called pips requirement. So you would put that here. Well, yeah, you'd put that there and run it. And the requirements file will automatically be created for you. Secondly, you also need a proc file, which is just a file that tells you what command needs to be run. And so in this case, the file that we need to run is calculator.py, and that's exactly what the proc file is saying, that you're going to run that file. You also need a runtime file which specifies the version of Python that you're going to use. I mean, I'm using 3.10, but you can use a more stable version like a 3.7 or a 3.8. After all of this is done, you need to push your code to GitHub, because that's the way Heroku is going to be able to deploy the app. So I'm not going to go into the details of pushing it to GitHub. I'm hoping that you know how to. Next, you need to come to heroku.com, and if you don't already have an account, you can sign up right here, but I have one, so I'm just going to sign in. So this is my dashboard for my Heroku account. As you can see, I've already deployed the salary calculator, but I'll still try to go through all the steps until it gets to clicking the deploy button. So you just need to click new app, and remember that you should have already uploaded your entire code to GitHub. Now the key thing here is the app name should be the same name as the repository that you created on GitHub. But in my case, let's just call it test JA salary calculator. But this means that my GitHub, man, I can't even spell. It means that my GitHub repository should also be called test Jamaica salary calculator. And then you create app. And here you go. You have, several deployment methods. We're going to select GitHub. I've already connected my GitHub, so it pops up automatically. And now you search for your repository's name. Let's go salary. And then you're going to connect it. Of course, it would be called test JA salary calculator because you want it to be the same name. Click connect. And once it's connected, you're going to deploy the relevant branch. In my case, it's master. And once you click deploy, it's just going to run through the whole thing. If there are any errors, of course, it will let you know, and you might have to just go through the whole thing again. Let me bring you to the final thing. So here we go, my Jamaica salary calculator. You're going to see a lot of failure because I just wasn't doing it right at the start. But finally, I got some success. So this is what success looks like. It's going to be build succeeded, and then a message that it's been deployed. And then you'll get to actually open the app here. And if you look up top, you now have a permanent until them shut down Heroku. But it's a more permanent URL that you can share with friends and family for them to use the app without you actually having to run the script on your local machine. And just a reminder of what the other IP looked like. See the big difference? But it's the exact same thing. We just do a test run. Always never know what figures to put in when I'm doing a test run. There you go. And that's how you deploy an app using Heroku. I will put the code, of course, in the description. So, it took a lot of trial and error for me, but hopefully if you're following along, it won't be too difficult. So thanks again for watching, and see you in the next video, if may make a next video.